Prostrations to Ramana, shining as the self in all beings. We begin today's satsang with a prayer by Srimati Sapna Ganesh, followed by the chanting of Muktakatrayam by Nanda Kumarji.
दक्षिणामूर्ति सारंभां शंकराचार्य मध्यमां रमणाचार्य पर्यन्तां वंदे गुरुपरंपरां वंदे गुरुपरंपरां वंदे गुरुपरंपरां शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये आङ्गिकं भुवनं यस्य वाचिकं सर्ववाङ्मयम् आहार्यं चन्द्रतारादि तं नमः सात्विकं शिवम् ॐ नमो भगवते श्री रमणाय. Namo Ramana to everyone.
Ekam aksharam hrudi nirantaram bhavasate swayam likyate katam. Hridaya kuhara madhye kevalam brahmamatram yaham maham iti sakshat atmarupena bhati hrudi vishamanasa svam chinvaka mucchata bhavana chalana rodha atmanishto bhavatu. Deham mranmayavat jadatmakam aham buddhirna tasyastyatu naham tattata bhavashukti samay siddhatma sadbhav. Oham bhavayuta kuto varadhiya drishtatmanishtatmana soham spurtitaya arunachala shivaha vibhavati swayam soham spurtitaya arunachala shivaha vibhavati swayam. Namo.
Namo Ramana. We continue the satsang with chanting of verses from Upadesha Sara by Ashwini Balaji and Uma Shripati.
Namo Ramana. Vayurodhanaat liyate mana jalapakshivadroda sadhanam chittavayava shikriyayudaha shakayorvai shakti mulaka laya vinashane ubhayarodhane layagatam punar bhavati nomritam प्राणबन्धनात् लीनमानसं एकचिन्तना नाशमेत्यद नष्टमानसोत्कृष्टयोगिना कृत्यमस्ति किं स्वस्तितिं यत दृश्यवारितं चित्तमात्मना चित्वदर्शनं तत्त्वदर्शनं मानसं तु किं मार्गणे कृते नैव मानसं मार्गार्जवात् वृत्तयस्त्वहं वृत्तिमाश्रिताः वृत्तयो मनो विद्यहं मन अहमयं कुतो भवति चिन्वत ऐपतत्यहं निजविचारणम् अहमिनाशभाज्यहमहं तया स्फुरतिरुत्स्वयं परमपूर्णसत्. नमो रमण.
Namo Ramana. We now have the offering of Ramananjali Sangeeta. The first two songs will be offered, the first one by Srimati Radha and Vallabh, and the second one by Srimati Pratibha Sundaresh.
Namo Ramana to all. Today we will be singing a song written by Sri Muruganar Swami. We are singing the Telugu version. The Telugu translation is done by J.H. Bhimacharya and the music is by Sri Vijay Bhaskar. दीनबन्धो रावैया रमण शिवयोगी दीनबन्धो रावैया रमण शिवयोगी ज्ञानामृतमु पोयेरारा अमर योगिरारा ज्ञानामृतमु पोयेरारा अमर योगिरारा दीनबन्धो रावैया रमण शिवयोगी भवमु बन्धमु मुक्तुडैन ज्ञानयोगिनीवटा भवमु बन्धमु मुक्तुडैन ज्ञानयोगिनीवटा कर्म फलमूलंतरानि शांति दूत विवटा कर्म फलमूलंतरानि शांति दूत विवटा मदमु काम मत्सरालु धरिकी रानियो भोगिवी मदमु काम मत्सरालु धरिकी रानि भोगिवी निराकार ब्रह्ममुनु చూచినట్టి యోగివి నిరాకార బ్రహ్మమును చూచినట్టి యోగివి దీనబంధు రావయ్యా రమణ శివయోగి జ్ఞానామృతము పోయరారా అమర యోగిరారా दीनबन्धु रावैया रमण शिवयोगी गगन तलमुन वेलयु पूर्ण चंद्र निभानना गगनु तलमुन वेलयु पूर्ण चंद्र निभानना जीवकोटि సతము గొలుచు పరమాత్మ రమణ జీవకోటి సతము గొలుచు పరమాత్మ రమణ ఇంద్రియముల వశము కాని యోగిరాజ రమణ ఇంద్రియముల వశము కాని యోగిరాజ రమణ రాగాదులను బాపు రమణాఖ్య ఋషివి నీవు రాగాదులను బాపు రమణాఖ్య ఋషివి నీవు దీనబంధు రావయ్యా రమణ శివయోగి జ్ఞానామృతము పోయరారా అమర యోగిరారా దీనబంధు రావయ్యా రమణ శివయోగి జ్ఞానామృతము పోయరారా అమర యోగిరారా దీనబంధు రావయ్యా రమణ శివయోగి రమణ శివయోగి రమణ శివయోగి.
Now, Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Another Telugu translation of Muruganar Swami's composition by Y.V. Venkateshwar Rao and music set by Dr. S. Rajeshwar Rao. తుమ్మెదలారా రండమ్మా తుమ్మెదలారా రండమ్మా విభురమణుని వేగ కొని రండమ్మా తుమ్మెదలారా రండమ్మా విభురమణుని వేగ కొని రండమ్మా ప్రశాంత చిత్తుడు నామది దోచిన వింత మాంత్రికుడు వెంకటరమణుడు ప్రశాంత చిత్తుడు నామది దోచిన వింత మాంత్రికుడు వెంకటరమణుడు తుమ్మెదలారా రండమ్మ విభురమణుని వేగ కొని రండమ్మా నిద్రలోన నా స్వామిని కంటిని నిద్రలోన నా స్వామిని కంటిని ఆతని పెదవుల తీపి గ్రోలి తిని నిద్రలోన నా స్వామిని కంటిని ఆతని పెదవుల తీపి గ్రోలి తిని మెలకువ వచ్చెను కలయే చెదరను మెలకువ వచ్చెను కలయే చదరన్ స్వామి మాయమై కనరాడాయను మెలకువ వచ్చెను కలయే చదరన్ స్వామి మాయమై కనరాడాయను తుమ్మెదలారా రండమ్మ విభురమణుని వేగ కొని రండమ్మా ముక్తి కాంతతో ముచ్చటలాడుచు ముక్తి కాంతతో ముచ్చటలాడుచు పేదను నన్నిట వదిలాడమ్మా ముక్తి కాంతతో ముచ్చటలాడుచు పేదను నన్నిట వదిలాడమ్మా ఆతని వీడి మనలేనమ్మా ఆతని వీడి మనలేనమ్మ ఎడబాటను నేనోర్వగజాలను ఆతని వీడి మనలేనమ్మ ఎడబాటను నేనోర్వగజాలను తుమ్మెదలారా రండమ్మా తుమ్మెదలారా రండమ్మా విభురమణుని వేగ కొని రండమ్మా ప్రశాంత చిత్తుడు నామది దోచిన వింత మాంత్రికుడు వెంకటరమణుడు. ప్రశాంత చిత్తుడు నామది దోచిన వింత మాంత్రికుడు వెంకటరమణుడు. తుమ్మెదలారా రండమ్మ విభురమణుని వేగ కొని రండమ్మ, విభురమణుని వేగ కొని రండమ్మ, విభురమణుని వేగ కొని రండమ్మ. నమో రమ.
Namo Ramana. We go on to the next two songs of Ramananjali. The first one will be offered by Savitri Krishnan and Jai Shri Ram Krishna, and the second one by Revathi Shankar.
జయము రమణ జయము రమణ జయ జయ అని పాడరే. జయము రమణ జయము రమణ జయ జయ అని పాడరే. జయము రమణ చరణములకు జయమని కొని ఆడరే. జయము రమణ చరణములకు జయమని కొని ఆడరే. జయము రమణ జయము రమణ జయ జయ అని పాడరే. జయము రమణ జయము రమణ జయ జయ అని పాడరే. మనసు నిలుపు విధుల తెలుపు పాదములకు జయం జయం. మనసు నిలుపు విధుల తెలుపు పాదములకు జయం జయం. స్వవిచార పథము చూపు పదత్వైకి జయం జయం. స్వవిచార పథము చూపు పదత్వైకి జయం జయం. జయము రమణ జయము రమణ జయ జయ అని పాడరే. జయము రమణ జయము రమణ జయ జయ అని పాడరే. జయము రమణ చరణములకు జయమని కొని ఆడరే. జయము రమణ చరణములకు జయమని కొని ఆడరే. జయము రమణ జయము రమణ జయ జయ అని పాడరే. భక్తజనుల పాలి కల్పతరువు రమణ ఋషికి జయం. భక్తజనుల పాలి కల్పతరువు రమణ ఋషికి జయం. అహము గూర్చి ఆత్మ తెలుపు గురువరుణకు జయం జయం. అహము గూర్చి ఆత్మ తెలుపు గురువరుణకు జయం జయం. రమణ మహర్షికి జయం 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 గురువరుణకు జయం జయం. జయము రమణ జయము రమణ జయ జయ అని పాడరే. జయము రమణ జయము రమణ జయ జయ అని పాడరే. జయము రమణ చరణములకు జయమని కొని ఆడరే. జయము రమణ చరణములకు జయమని కొని ఆడరే. జయము రమణ జయము రమణ జయ జయ అని పాడరే. జయము రమణ జయము రమణ జయ జయ అని పాడరే. జయము రమణ జయము రమణ జయ జయ అని పాడరే. ఓం నమో భగవతే శ్రీ రమణాయ.
Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya. We are meditating on the 37th verse of Saddarshanam. Dvaitam vichare paramartha bodhet advaitamityesha na sadhuvadaha gaveshanat pragdashame vinashte paschatcha labdhe dashamattvamekam. The theories such as duality in sadhana and Advaita on realization are not true. The 10th man was present not merely when he was found, but also during the search with loving concern. The 10th man story is very well known to all of us. The 10th man was always present even when he was counting everyone. But he never paid attention to himself. Likewise, we don't pay attention to the I behind every thought. It is the truth that without the I, no other will occur. So whenever this I rises, If we are vigilant and if we hold on to it before we move on to other thoughts, that is the process. When we hold on to the self, there is no other. The self alone is. I present to you a song written by Muruganar Swami, Kannada translation by R.N. Jayagopal, music by V.S. Narasimhan. ದೇವನ ಪದಯುಗ ನೆನೆಯುತಿಹ ಸುಜ್ಞಾನ ಭಂಡಾರವೇ ಹರಿಷಡ್ವರ್ಗವ ಜಯಿಸಿದ ನಿರ್ಮಲ ಮಾನಸ ಸರೋವರವೇ ದೇವನ ಪದಯುಗ ನೆನೆಯುತಿಹ ಸುಜ್ಞಾನ ಭಂಡಾರವೇ ಹರಿಷಡ್ವರ್ಗವ ಜಯಿಸಿದ ನಿರ್ಮಲ ಮಾನಸ ಸರೋವರವೇ ನುತಿಸಿದೆ ನಿನ್ನನು ವೆಂಕಟನೇ ಅಭಿಷ್ಟ ನೀಡುವ ವರದಾತನೇ ದೇವನ ಪದಯುಗ ನೆನೆಯುತಿಹ ಸುಜ್ಞಾನ ಭಂಡಾರವೇ ಹರಿಷಡ್ವರ್ಗವ ಜಯಿಸಿದ ನಿರ್ಮಲ ಮಾನಸ ಸರೋವರವೇ ಅಭ್ಯಾಗತನುಲು ನೀ ಬಳಿ ಬಂದೆ ಅಜ್ಞಾನದ ತೆರೆ ನಿರ್ಮೂಲಗೈದೆ ಅಭ್ಯಾಗತನುಲು ನೀ ಬಳಿ ಬಂದೆ ಅಜ್ಞಾನದ ತೆರೆ ನಿರ್ಮೂಲಗೈದೆ ಆನಂದ ಅಮೃತ ವಾಹಿನಿ ಹರಿಸಿದೆ ಪರಬ್ರಹ್ಮದೆಡೆಗೆ ದಾರಿ ತೋರಿದೆ ನುತಿಸಿದೆ ನಿನ್ನನು ವೆಂಕಟನೇ ಅಭಿಷ್ಟ ನೀಡುವ ವರದಾತನೇ ದೇವನ ಪದಯುಗ ನೆನೆಯುತಿಹ ಸುಜ್ಞಾನ ಭಂಡಾರವೇ ಹರಿಷಡ್ವರ್ಗವ ಜಯಿಸಿದ ನಿರ್ಮಲ ಮಾನಸ ಸರೋವರವೇ ಪಾಪಿಗಳೆಮ್ಮ ಕೈ ಹಿಡಿದು ನಡೆಸಿ ಕರುಣೆಯ ಪಾವನ ಗಂಗೆಯ ಸುರಿಸಿ ಪಾಪಿಗಳೆಮ್ಮ ಕೈ ಹಿಡಿದು ನಡೆಸಿ ಕರುಣೆಯ ಪಾವನ ಗಂಗೆಯ ಸುರಿಸಿ ಪ್ರಭುಪಾದದೆಡೆಗೆಮ್ಮ ಪಯಣ ತೊಡಗಿಸಿ ಕೃಪೆಗೈದೆ ರಮಣನೇ ಪ್ರೇಮ ಹರಿಸಿ ನುತಿಸಿದೆ ನಿನ್ನನು ವೆಂಕಟನೇ ಅಭಿಷ್ಟ ನೀಡುವ ವರದಾತನೇ ದೇವನ ಪದಯುಗ ನೆನೆಯುತಿಹ ಸುಜ್ಞಾನ ಭಂಡಾರವೇ ಹರಿಷಡ್ವರ್ಗವ ಜಯಿಸಿದ ನಿರ್ಮಲ ಮಾನಸ ಸರೋವರವೇ ದೇವನ ಪದಯುಗ ನೆನೆಯುತಿಹ ಸುಜ್ಞಾನ ಭಂಡಾರವೇ ಹರಿಷಡ್ವರ್ಗವ ಜಯಿಸಿದ ನಿರ್ಮಲ ಮಾನಸ ಸರೋವರವೇ ಮಾನಸ ಸರೋವರವೇ ಮಾನಸ ಸರೋವರವೇ ನಮೋ ರಮಣ.
Namo Ramana. We go on to the reading and sharing by Sri Nandakumarji.
Namo Ramana. In this, the book reading segment of our Satsang, we continue to read from Fresh Discoveries, Western Seekers on Sri Ramana Maharshi, a compilation by our founder president, Sri A.R. Natarajanji. We have gone through the account of Thelma Rakold living in the presence of the infinite. And today, we are going on to the account of Jack Dawson, Reminiscences. Now, before we go on to the Ramana Reminiscences, I thought we'll just look at one point which Thelma Rappold has given us. And these accounts which we are seeing, the next two accounts which we are going to see, give us a lot of hints as to our spiritual journey in Bhagavan, which begins with perhaps this paragraph from Thelma Rappold, which we went through last week. She writes, "It always amazed me how Ramana sat absolutely quiet and motionless. Yet his eyes were so penetrating. When I had questions, I didn't verbalize them because it wasn't necessary. The questions were answered almost immediately. It was our means of communication. It was a mind-to-mind connection. Even now, the same quiet and motionless presence of Bhagavan is within us. And for most part, we don't need to verbalize our questions. If we stay there, then they are definitely answered by that presence in the mind-to-mind connection with Bhagavan. We go on to the account of Jack Dawson, Ramana Reminiscences, Prostrations to Bhagavan Sri Ramana. Ever living, ever present sage who is lighting lights throughout the world. Several years had passed since I was at Sri Ramanashrama. Now the real work began, as the understanding that had been grasped there was slowly supplying to life in the West with all its complexities. Years of arduous mountain climbing, a foothold here, a handhold there, several feet upwards, but not infrequently a disappointing slide downhill. And then the ascent towards the summit was resumed. At times, breathtaking panoramic views would present themselves, but the climb itself remained of utmost desperate importance. The writer compares the spiritual journey to the climbing of a mountain. I'll read that paragraph again. Several years had passed since I was at Sri Ramanashrama. Now the real work began, as the understanding that had been grasped there was slowly supplied to life in the West with all its complexities. Years of arduous mountain climbing, a foothold here, a handhold there, several feet upwards, and not infrequently a disappointing slide downhill. And then the ascent towards the summit was resumed. At times, breathtaking panoramic views would present themselves, but the climb itself remained of utmost desperate importance. As time went by, something kept saying, as though a compassionate voice from a peak far above, "Why all this strain? Who is it that is climbing this mountain?" "Why all this strain?" said the voice. "Who is it that is climbing this mountain?" At first, I paid little heed to these words, which, while comforting, were as yet beyond my understanding for any practical use. I went on with the climb, struggling harder than ever, hoping to reach the topmost summit, hoping possibly also to catch another word from this quiet voice, a refreshing drink of cool mountain water. Sometimes feelings of guilt and hopelessness and the light would nearly engulf my being, extinguishing most of my remaining strength to climb any further. The voice would say again, "Stop, relax, take rest, be the witness of this ascent." Gradually, the words began to make a little sense, if for no other reason than that I was worn out by them. Bhagavan would say that towards the end of Girivalam, as the 14.5 kilometers draws near, almost all the pilgrims will be in samadhi state. They will be so tired that the mind cannot make any thoughts. So here the sadhaka is saying, stop, relax, take rest, said the words. Be the witness of this ascent. Gradually, the words began to make a little sense, if for no other reason than that I was worn out by them. The climb continued, although somewhat differently now. Attempts were made at standing back a little. Then, to my surprise, foot and handholds would become apparent when needed. Downhill slips would occur, but recovery would come almost instantaneously, leaving barely a scratch. So as the sadhana improves, the pilgrim, the sadhaka here, he says, Mr. Dawson says, that though the slippages are there, the sadhana is back on track like that, without leaving barely a scratch. The beauty of the mountain also began to reveal itself, with its glistening rocks, enchanting lakes, and flowering meadows. Who are you? Become now comfortable with the self that you are and will be forever. It is right here and now. Bliss is obtainable only through self-inquiry. The words were saying, who are you? Become now comfortable with itself that you are and will be forever. It is right here and now. Bliss is obtainable only through self-inquiry. A totally new kind of relief came over me. The wielder of the magnificent divine weapon of self-inquiry, Bhagavan Ramana, had taken a stand, a mighty yet gentle and completely rational stand against the ego. Not only did the sadhana begin to improve, but relationships did too. Where previously there had been a gnawing need to be liked by others, simple application of the inquiry would replace these thoughts with a natural self-esteem, a knowledge that one truly is all right, and that the best business to engage in now was to silently acknowledge others as self, infinitely worthy of esteem. This is very beautiful how the sadhaka has written, how the relationships with the world change for the better with self-inquiry. We'll read that paragraph again. Not only did sadhana begin to improve, but relationships did too. Where previously there had been a gnawing need to be liked by others, simple application of inquiry would replace these thoughts. Will they approve or not? Will I be found helpful or not? Am I really helping or not? All these things go because they are all replaced by for whom is this thought. Simple application of inquiry would replace these thoughts about being liked by others with a natural self-esteem, a knowledge that one truly is all right, and that the best business to engage in now was to silently acknowledge others as self, infinitely worthy of esteem. Everyone, each one of them is not to be subject to judgment, but is worthy of esteem, not because they are going to become the self, it is because they are the self. Worried thoughts such as, how am I doing in my sadhana, also vanished instantly. The answer came in the question form, who am I? Whence came this mountain? Whence came this mountain-like sage, benevolent giver of the powerful medicine of self-knowledge, whom we affectionately call Bhagavan? That we could have such a master in these times, in times like this, capable of guiding millions to peace, is almost unbelievable. Endless thanks to Bhagavan, fountain of grace. Whence came this mountain-like sage, benevolent giver of the powerful medicine of self-knowledge, whom we affectionately call Bhagavan? That we could have such a master in times like these, capable of guiding millions to peace, is almost unbelievable. Endless thanks to Bhagavan, the fountain of grace. Reminiscences continues. This is by Madeline Mende. It begins with a small verse. An echo within ever whispers the soul's song. God, Guru, ancient one of olden time, my own self, whither, whence, how will it happen? Can it possibly happen to me? Cosmic calendar and clock decree a certain time, a certain place, and time is right when time is right. When time is right, when time is right. Then came a marked turn in my spiritual road. Truly a turning point in life itself. Karmic predestinations casually informed, casually, informally, yet preordained. I occasionally met a friend in busy downtown Detroit. I mentioned Lanyon Books. Lanyon Books, the Google says, he was a writer who wrote books from 1917 onwards on something called as new thinking or new thought, and he has written about 40 books. So the writer Madeline Mende is mentioning to her friend about Lanyon Books. The friend she swiftly stated, listen, you really should read Maharishi's books. The Maharishi is Lanyon's teacher. I am leaving town soon, but you may use my 2 Maharishi books briefly for 3 days. Only 3 days, of course. I tried to copy parts from those precious books, sensing their special, rare, true value. 2 years passed. At last, a few Maharishi books were available in New York. Heart and soul cheered. The books were ordered. However, I wasn't at home when the postman tried to deliver them. Our local post office closes at 5 o'clock. I arrived at home at 6 and noted that these books would be available for me in the post office only at 8 o'clock the next morning. I remained in anticipation, thinking, I am 14 hours away from a Maharishi's books which I have longed for. My own books, spiritual feast to be savored slowly. Much of the reading was done with a sense of and in joyous silence. Then came the day of my life, in mid-morning, in midsummer. She is referring to some spiritual experience of realization. Then came the day of my life in mid-morning, in midsummer. On this sunshiny morning, August 1961, I sat in a lawn chair in a secluded grassy inner courtyard. Mind was still. Bliss of being amidst tears of ecstasy. My very dear own Guru Maharishi. My very dear own Guru Maharishi. 6 accurate, sacred, sweet words stated 2 times from the heart. In the words of another, my fate and all that I was passed from that moment into the sacred hands of Sri Ramana forever. I had come home. In my own case, the precious sense of Bhagavan presence has been with me ever since. Grace is how surrender gives the same anubhava as Atma Vicharan. I had come home. In my own case, the precious sense of Bhagavan presence has been with me ever since. Grace, which is Bhagavan's presence, is. I would just like you to know, concludes Barbara Slough. This is another lady concluding about Madeline. That it was through Madeline that Bhagavan reached out to me and to many others here in Detroit. Not rich in earthly possession, Madeline gave all of herself. To whomsoever she spoke, it was always of being, looking within and knowing oneself. It was with her, I was with her, as her time on earth drew to a close. 1 month before her passing, she told me of a vision she had of what would happen at the time of giving up the body. When she did finally pass on 1 month later, it was in complete peace and very quickly. Fully conscious towards the end, Madeline said, with Bhagavan's grace, let me go in peace. With Bhagavan's grace, Let me go in peace. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana. We continue the satsang with the self-inquiry session conducted by Dilip Sinha.
Namo Ramana. Dhyayet Sharada Chandra Sundaramukam Tamraravindekshanam Bhaktabhishtavarabhayapradakaram Kaupinamatrojvalam Svatmanandarasānubhūti vivasham Sarvanavadyangakam Shrimantam Shri Ramaneshwaram Guruvaram Yogasanadhyasitam Dhyayet Shri Ramaneshwaram Dhyayet Shri Ramaneshwaram Dhyayet Shri Ramaneshwaram. We will commence the Atma Vichara by listening to Bhagavan's Upadesham. I will be reading from Guru Vachaka Kovai from the chapter Meditation on the Truth, and the topic, Blessed is the True Temple. Verse 7:11. He who does not know through subtle enquiry the truth that God is himself the temple for both the jiva and the world will build a temple consisting of many enclosures, prakaras, restrict God to an idol, and perform elaborate and magnificent worship to it. I repeat, he who does not know through subtle enquiry the truth that God is himself the temple for both the jiva and the world will build a temple consisting of many enclosures, prakaras, restrict God to an idol, and perform elaborate and magnificent worship to it. In this, Bhagavan is bringing our attention to that one truth, that self which is the substrate of everything. However, without inquiring into that, however, not paying attention to that which is always available, irrespective of the modes that the mind may be in, whether it's in the waking, dream, or sleep, that substrate which always exists, which is not paid attention, which is the substrate or the temple for both the jiva and the world. We go about trying to build many enclosures. This body is one of such an enclosure that we build and restrict the unrestrictable to that body, and we perform elaborate and magnificent worship. We do a lot of things assuming this to be our own real nature. That's how we limit the unlimited. Not only is the body one of those enclosures, there are prakaras, as been said here. There are many such enclosures, mentally, ideas and concepts, with many beliefs that we have, even including that of the God, including that of the self. So by all these, what is so naturally available to us at all the time, we forego, and we give lot of value and importance to these ideas, concepts, and this body, and think that we will be able to see, realize that unlimited in that. We will be able to gain that happiness through these limitations. Therefore, Bhagavan, who is the most graceful master, has asked us to keep inquiring. And then only the substrate, the truth which is there, ever present, will be realized. Therefore, he has given us this Atma Vichara to question every such concept, every such limitation that we put upon. It is like the snake over the rope. And therefore, he asks us to diligently inquire everything. And how do these limitations come about? It is only in the form of a thought. It is the thought which is only an imagination that brings this imaginary limitation. Whereas in our true experience, we are the self, the I am. That is the direct experience of ourself. In letting that go, we hold on to these ideas and these intellectual concepts, and therefore, and give a lot of importance to it. So Bhagavan therefore says, every thought, no matter whether a thought is good, bad, or ugly, and doesn't matter how many number of such thoughts rise, we should know that they are only an imaginary limitation creating process over the unlimited, the truth which is there. And therefore, we should diligently question every such thought as to whom is this thought. Then it becomes clear that one has, it is for me, one has arisen from that expanse of consciousness, from that being consciousness, unlimited to this name and form, and as I. Then when we inquire, who am I, and really try to go to the source of the I, what we really refer to as I, then we are taken to that I am, to that truth which alone actually is, which is the light which reveals everything. And by repeatedly diving within and abiding in the self with the inquiry, Bhagavan assures that the mind will gain enough strength in due course to abide in the self itself. With the immense grace of Master, with which alone we could have embarked on this path, the direct path, with which alone we get to remember and practice this path, and with which alone we are made to abide in that one truth which is always present. Holding on to that grace, let us do Atma Vichara for the next 10 minutes. Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya. Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana. We go on to the sharing about Bhagavad Gita Sara by Venkatesh Deshpande.
Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansuchanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Om. Shantakaram Bhujagashainam Padmanabham Suresham Vishwadharam Gaganasadrisham Meghavarnam Shubhangam Lakshmi Kantam Kamalanayanam Yogiradhyanagamyam Vande Vishnum Bhavabhayaharam Sarvalokaikanaatham. Om. Bhagwan's grace and Shri Krishna's grace, we are at the 42nd verse of the Bhagavad Gita Sara, which is the last verse. And I request, this is from the chapter 18, verse number 62. I request Sapna to kindly chant the verse, please.
Yes, sir. अथ श्रीमद्भगवद्गीता सारः तमेव शरणं गच्छ सर्वभावेन भारत तत्प्रसादात् परां शान्तिं स्थानं प्राप्स्यसि शाश्वतं तमेव शरणं गच्छ सर्वभावेन भारत तत्प्रसादात् परां शान्तिं स्थानं प्राप्स्यसि शाश्वतम्. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sapna. Thank you very much. O Arjuna, surrender to him alone with all your being. You will attain supreme peace, moksha or liberation, and also the abode eternal by his grace. In order to attain the highest goal of liberation, for those who are not able to pursue the path of self-inquiry, Bhagavan Ramana has suggested surrender as the other alternative. Surrender unreservedly, one of the things must be done. Either surrender because you admit your inability and also require a higher power to help you, or investigate into the cause of misery, go into the source and merge into the self. Either way, you will be free from misery. God never forsakes one who has surrendered. So surrender can be either to a personal God like Shiva, Vishnu, etc., or to the Supreme Self. Bhagavan Ramana has also advocated surrender to the personal God. Surrender the mind to Perumal, God. Render unto him what is his and be happy. Whenever thoughts arise, remember they are all modes of Perumal and they cannot be otherwise. This is enough. This is the surrender of the mind. Can anything exist independent of the Perumal? So note, Perumal is a Tamil name for Mahavishnu. Can anything exist independent of Perumal? All is Perumal alone. He acts through all. Why worry ourselves? The full significance of surrender has been elaborately explained by Bhagavan Ramana, who holds that surrender is also the best way to remove the greatest terror, namely death. I'll read this again. The full significance of surrender has been elaborately explained by Bhagavan Ramana, who holds that surrender is also the best way to remove the greatest terror, namely death. In the effort to overcome birth and death, man looks up to the Supreme Being to save him. Thus are born our faith and devotion to the Lord. How to worship him? The creature is powerless and the Creator is all-powerful. How to approach him? To entrust oneself to his care is the only thing left for him. Total surrender is the only way. Therefore, he surrenders himself to God. Surrender consists in giving up oneself and one's possessions to the Lord of mercy. Then what is left over for the man? Nothing. Neither himself nor his possessions. Birth and death cannot strike terror. The cause of fear was the body. It is no longer his. Why should he fear now? Or where is the identity of the individual to be frightened? The self is realized and bliss results. This is the highest good to be gained. Surrender is synonymous with bliss itself. Talk number 567. This bliss is liberation, moksha. This surrender is also bhakti. Talk number 450. Sharanagati. Sharanagati Tattva is held by the Vaishnavite followers of Sri Ramanujacharya as one of the 3 top secrets of their cult, known as Rahasya Trayam, the other 2 being 2 mantras of Lord Narayana. Sharanagati is the Sanskrit word for surrender. Bhagwan Ramana has also given another interpretation, linking it with the self-inquiry method too. Surrender is to give yourself up to the original cause of one's being. Do not delude yourself by imagining such source to be some God outside you. One source is within yourself up to it, which means that you should seek the source and merge in it. There is no difference between jnana and surrender. In this verse, Sri Krishna addresses Arjuna as Bharata. It has special significance, even though outwardly it means a sign of the lineage of King Bharata. It also means a person who is engaged in attaining knowledge. Bhayam Ratha. Bha means the light of knowledge, and Ratha means fully devoted to or engaged in it. The word Sarva Bhavena indicates that the surrender should be unconditional and there should be no reservations. If any condition is attached to it, then it is no surrender at all. This unconditional surrender has been elaborated in a sacred scripture known as Arha Buddhanya Samhita. It is told that surrender consists of 6 limbs. The beautiful 6 points on surrender. Accept, point number 1, accepting totally events happening by God's will. It means whatever happens to us, we accept it as it is God's will. Number 2, not rebelling and trying to undo the events emerging out of God's will. That is, trying to get a transfer order posting to a distant place cancelled. So this is an important thing. Once you surrender, whatever you see, whether it is within or without, there is no rebelling and trying to undo the events. That's point number 2. Number 3, a strong faith that the Lord will definitely protect the devotee. See, this is like if a mother has 2 children and one child is able to walk, say if they're twins, and one child is able to walk and come to the mother, and both are hungry, but the other one can't walk, the mother will run to that child and feed it. So it's like strong faith that baby has a strong faith that the mother will look after it. Similarly, they say that a strong faith that the Lord will definitely protect the devotee is absolutely necessary in surrender. Specifically praising and calling on God to protect the devotee. This is, all the great ones have sung glories of Ramana, glories of Sri Krishna, basically praying and calling on God to protect the devotee. Protect him from what? From this world, from these names and forms, and protect him from asat, and ask him to see that the devotee is always with the sat. Number 5, completely putting one's entire body and all possessions at the mercy of the Lord. So we cannot say that God, you look after my my health and look after my spirituality. You give me, I will do self-inquiry. You give me moksha. But what I will do is my bank account. You don't worry about my bank account. I will handle my bank account. When I will go on my holidays here, there, everywhere, have a lot of fun. Okay, you don't worry about all that. You just look after me. If I do anything wrong, you just bring me back to my correct state. It's not complete surrender. Bhagavan says, completely putting one entire body and all possessions at the mercy of the Lord. So tomorrow, like for example, if you put 100 rupees in the stock market, tomorrow it may become 50 rupees or it may become 150 rupees. Both of it does not matter. So that's the way it is. So if the possessions, if you really see, like I remember once Swami Shivananda in the ashram, somebody stole the tabla and went away. And Swami Shivananda told the sadhus, go and give him the harmonium also. Otherwise, without the harmonium, his tabla won't sound good. Let him have the harmonium also along with the tabla. So the great ones, they don't, even if the harmonium is here or somewhere else, it's all in God. So that's the way they look at it. So they're not attached to any possessions. So they said completely putting one's entire body and all possessions at the mercy. And number 6, remaining in utter helplessness, solely dependent on the Lord. That means we should be always in a state where whatever has to happen will happen. See, this is that one first Upadesha he gave his mother. Whatever is to happen will happen. Whatever is not to happen will never happen. So why are you worried about? So if something has to happen, it will happen. If something is not to happen, it will not happen. So remaining utterly helpless. Helpless means what? That God will look after everything. So you are totally dependent on God. So may Bhagwan's grace and compassion of Bhagwan help us to have self-realization and absolute bliss in this very birth to be totally surrendering to Him. We are extremely grateful to Bhagwan Ramana and Shri Krishna for us to be able to complete this Bhagavad Gita Sara, 42 verses. It's been a wonderful journey for all of us. Om Namo Bhagavate.
Namo Ramana. Indeed, it is a great grace of Bhagavan who, when he has written the Bhagavad Gita Sara, he says it is the same force as Sri Krishna, and Bhagavan Sri Krishna inseparably have taken us on this beautiful journey along with Venkatesh Deshpandeji and Sapna Ganesh chanting the verses. And it's a grace to complete. It's always that a process can get completed is the Purnatva happens by grace. Of course, every part of the journey is also grace. Every bit of it is also grace. But there is a special beauty in its reaching its completion. Once again, on behalf of all of us, our prostrations to the Master, Bhagavan Shri Ramana for completing this beautiful process.
Namo Ramana, Doctor. Thank you.
Namo Ramana, Namo Ramana. We continue the satsang today with Dr. Kalarani Rangaswamy going into another work by Bhagavan Shri Ramana Maharshi, a translation in Tamil of Jnana Vichara Padalam Devi Kalotharam.
Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya. Arunachalamena agame nilepavar agatte veraruppai Arunachala. Namo Ramana to all. With the abundance grace of Bhagavan, we are meditating on Devi Kalotra Jnana Vichara Padalam, very kindly given to us by Ramana. And the last satsang we saw By abiding the thoughts about worldly objects into the self, what happens? Only the self remains. And the happiness that is being experienced will be endless. He says, Antamila Atyanta Anandam. There is no end for that happiness. Bhagavan says, for attaining that state of happiness, do we need to do any karma? No. Oru karmamum il. Because happiness is always there and no strain need to be taken. Why? Because Bhagavan says, the effort that one puts in to attain that state itself will be the hindrance to attain that happiness. In the next stanza, Bhagavan says, Vidaya Jnanam poi, Virinit Kalamai. In Vishaya Jnanam, what happens? One thinks that he decides everything. The sense that I am the doer is very strong. In that state, one experiences the anger, hatred, delusion, sorrow, and of course, sometimes happiness. By attaining the happiness with these Vishaya, maybe one feels proud of his virtues. One forgets that the virtue itself is given to him by God only. And in fact, virtue itself is self. Concentration on Vishaya Jnanam makes a man jealousy also. I'll tell you an example. Once there was a king, he was very stupid actually. He cannot analyze what people are talking. He accepts whatever people say to him. He will not think over whether it is bad or good, whether it is possible or impossible. So with these qualities, he had a lot of faith on one particular servant who washes his clothes, Dobi. The king prized him a lot for each and every action of his, that washman. And seeing this, a potter in that kingdom got jealous. So what he did was, he thought somehow or the other, I should make the king to scold him, scold that Dobi. So he planned and said, O king, O great one, people are saying that you are reigning this kingdom so well that it is like Indralokam. The only thing that is missing in this kingdom is the Airavati horse, that is that white horse that Indra is having. So, why don't we fulfill that and we can change the chief horse of your battalion, which is black in color, into white. And king asked, can it be done? Is it simple? That potter said, oh, it is very simple. Because your favorite washman is there, you can ask him to wash your horse and make that horse into white, because he is a very expert in turning everything into white. As he told the king, that stupid king, you know what he did? He called that washman and said, I'll give you 1 week's time. You have to change my chief horse into white. Washman got puzzled, but easily he sensed that it is the work of that potter only. So he did not take any attempt to change the horse into white color. 6 days are gone, and the potter visited the king and again and said, oh great one, that washman has not even started with his work. So the king called the washman and inquired. He said, O king, if I want to wash clothes, I used to put them all into a very big vessel and steam them. Now I am to wash such a big horse. I need a very big vessel so that the horse can get into it. O great one, my humble request is you have to order for a big vessel to the size of that horse. This potter is very efficient. He can do that work for us. And that stupid king immediately turned towards that potter and said, I will give you 1 week's time. By then, you have to make such a big vessel so that the horse can get into it. The washman said, yes, king, If I am given that big vessel, I can very easily turn the chief horse into white. The king said, yes, do it fast, otherwise you will be punished. Such havocs are made when one attains that Vishayajnanam alone. One cannot be in peace when one is with Vishayajnanam alone, because he will always be thinking of something. He will be aspiring for earning more money, though he has enough for leading his life. When earned more money, he has to find the means to save it. Mostly he will not enjoy with that money. He will just go on accumulating with that. Once there was a great discussion about squirrels and rats in Ramanashramam in Bhagwan's time. And one devotee said, Bhagwan, see how intelligent these rats are. They save their food for rainy days. But see, the squirrels, they eat whatever they get and don't save at all. Bhagwan smilingly said, yes, rats are like you people. In Vishayajnanam, there is discrimination also. One thinks, this is my family and others are alien to me. And in that state, what happens? Desire arises. In Tamil, a poet says, Agilam Muzhuvadam Aalinum Kadal Meedu Aanai Seyyave Aasai. If one is made the king of whole land, he will think, oh, why they have left that ocean? If I should have given that also to reign, isn't it? So, but Bhagwan was the king of Atma dynasty, wearing a single kobinam. He was seen as a king. What is the secret behind this? As Bhagwan said in Upadesa Undiya, Irukkum iyarkayal Isa Jeevargal, Guru Purulaya Varundipar. All are equal. There is no difference. Bhagwan's karuna was flowing equally to all, whether he is a shepherd or a highly learned one. Bhagwan stood as an example to show in each and every one that Arunachalam is only residing. His Upadesam are received even by the kitchen staff of the ashram. Why only human beings? Even monkeys, dogs, they all received Bhagwan's Upadesam. Once Jackie, the dog, was sitting beside Bhagwan and was doing dhyana. At that time, another dog was barking from the ashram entrance. And Jackie at this time saw Bhagwan and that barking dog repeatedly. Bhagwan said, for what you have come here to do dhyanam, isn't it? Do your duty. Only when you see outside, you will realize that the dog is barking. Close your eyes and do dhyanam. The reporters of this incident very sweetly writes, listening to Bhagwan's words, Jackie closed his eyes and was doing dhyanam. But we, the so-called devotees, was not doing dhyanam, but we were constantly looking, watching Jackie, whether he is doing dhyanam or opening his eyes. Such is the work of Vishayajnanam. That is why Bhagwan says in Upadesa Undiya, Velividayangale Vittu Manandan Uji Uru Urdale Undipara. Leave alone all the thoughts towards the worldly objects. Turn within and abide in the self. That is the way to attain mukti. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana. We now go on to the sharing by Ujjwal Jagadish on Ramanacentre.
Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya. We are meditating on the verses of Ramanacentre, written by Vashishta Kavya Ganta Ganapati Muni and compiled in this format by Bhagavan Ramana. Gurave Namaha Sadgurave Namaha 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 Gurave Namaha Gurave Tarakaraye Gurave Tarakaraye Paradeshineva Dhavalena Vasasaha Shakalena Veshtita Kati Vishobhina Varadeshikena Naraveshadharina Shikivahanena Guru Majjagadbhavet Shikivahanena Guru Majjagadbhavet Gurave Tarakaharane Guruve Tarakaharane Yatiyagiti Ruguva Arunagiri Vasanu Bilitundu Batteyanu Dharisi Jwalipanu Guru Shrestha Muruti Naravesha Dharisi Hanu Navileri Ravaniga Navileri Ravaniga Navileri Ravaniga Dhareya Pureya Dilidi Hanu Guruve Tarakaharane Guruve Tarakaharane Ganapati Muni describing Ramana as the very embodiment of Subramanya, who has come from a divine plane and he is coming and residing at Arunachala, and he is just wearing a kaupina and he is like the Raja, as Kala Ranyaka told. He is shining as the Raja of the Arunagiri. And who is he? He is the one who rides on the peacock. He is Subramanya himself, who has come in the form of a guru. The peacock in our Indian heritage has a very, very significant role, because even Krishna wears the peacock feather on his head. And we know that Subramanya rides on the peacock. It is because the peacock is said to be the most purest of all beings, because the peacock does not consummate like any other living beings, but the peahen, it drinks the tears from the eyes of the peacock and it gives birth to the little ones. So such purity is there in those peacocks. That's why it is worshipped as the mount of Subramanya and as the crown of Sri Krishna. We also know that the peacock became the mount of Subramanya when the demon Surapadman was destroyed, when he took a form of a tree, and with the veil, when Subramanya broke the tree into two parts, the one part became the Vahana, the peacock Vahana, and the other part became the cock, which was the flag in the hands of Subramanya. So Subramanya is known for his, even in the story of the Jnana Palam, we know that as soon as the work is given, the Subramanya with his Vahana, he quickly executes it. He does not wait for anyone. He quickly executes it. So the Shiki Vahana that Subramanya is, he quickly finishes the job that is given to his hand. And we know of Ramana that how he fulfills the plan in a trice. And he's the time, the timeless. So he just finishes the plan, the execution of the plan, just like Muruga rides on the peacock. And we know of the association of Ramana and the peacocks. Even Ramana, he himself reports that at the time of Virupaksha cave, there was a peahen and the peacock who were very, very close to Ramana. And these peacocks, which are afraid of human beings, when somebody approaches them, they run away. And such peacocks, they used to come and lie down on the lap of Ramana and allow him to caress. And he has reported, Bhagavan has reported, that these little peacocks, they have two holes in the place of their ears. They don't have any ears, but they have two holes in the place of ears. And these two holes are covered by small feathers. Such detailed observation and closeness that Ramana has with these peacocks. And the peacock is the Vahana, Shiki Vahana he is. So he uses the peacock as the tool to become Guru. Through peacocks, he has told great things to all of us. He, as a Guru, has given Upadesha through the peacocks. We all know that in the Mayura Ashtakam, the devotee writes, where is Baroda and where is Arunachala? This peacock was drawn to Ramana to do seva of Ramana from Baroda to Arunachala. What is the connection? It is only the divine grace. When the divine grace is there, Ramana can pull devotee from any corner of the world towards him and make him the Vahana, the tool to spread his message. And Kanakammal, she reports a beautiful incident when there was a Jayanti of Ramana and there was beautiful columns, rangolis put all over Ramanashramam with the white floor. And there was this very beautiful peacock rangoli which was put in the front of the gentleman's guest house on the way to the Goshala, and this peacock was mesmerized by this beautiful column of peacock, and it wondered, it used to move towards the column, and when Ramana was passing by, it used to go and it used to touch his feet and tell him, look at that, look at that, look at that. And it was not even interested in the badams that the devotees were offering it. It was not interested in that. It was only mesmerized by this column, and it was telling Ramana to look at it. And Ramana sweetly told, oh dear peacock, it is not a competition for you. It is only a picture. It is not a competition for you. Then when this words came to the peacock, peacock was satisfied. Oh, it is not a competition. Then it approached the devotees and had the badam and other dry fruits which was given. And Ramana told, such artists who can bring out such natural artisans, they're all very blessed. For artists, the self-knowledge is very, very easy. But sadly, the artists are not interested in self-knowledge. They only want name and fame. And they want, if they are artists, they want to improve their skill. If they are able to do a column which can mesmerize a peacock, they want to create one more special column which makes the peacock dancing, that inspires the peacock to dance. They only want to improve their skill set, improve their skill of art. But for such artists, because they are very, very sensitive and they are very disciplined, the self-knowledge is very, very easy. And he has blessed all the artists by this Upadesha as a Guru, the Shikivahana who had come as Guru. And he has taken care of this white peacock with such care that when we come, he is told as a Guru, when we come surrendered to the Guru and Guru is taking care of us, there can be nothing which can go wrong. He will take care of us and he will protect us. And when one devotee told Bhagavan, these colorful peacocks are much more beautiful than this white peacock, which is so boring. And Bhagavan told, no, each one of them has their own beauty. When the peacocks are born, they are all single colored. They're all in one colored. But as they grow, they change their colors and they grow various feathers with lot of eyes. And when all these eyes distract them, it is same with the mind. When we are small, our mind is one colored. But as we grow, the mind accumulates the colors and we start growing many, many feathers with many, many eyes and many, many distractions. But the white peacock maintains the same color and it represents the Shuddha Sattva. It represents the pure mind. And when we have this pure mind, like the white peacock, Bhagavan rides on us and makes use of us as the tool to fulfill his divine plan. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana. Prostrations to Ramana, shining as a self in all beings. By the immense grace of the self, manifest as Ramana. We are meditating on the Ramana Ashtottara Shatanamavali composed by Vishwanatha Swami. And we were on the Nama Kamaniya Sucharitraya Namaha, one of the beautiful and purifying life. So that is the 10th Nama, whereby Vishwanatha Swami then enters into the mainstream of narrating Bhagavan's story as it were. But already he has started. He has given the background. He has told us that he is the Amsha of Subramanya, as we just heard. Ganapati Muni also hailing him as Shikivahana. So Vishwanatha Swami has said he is Mahasena Mahomshena Jataha, and he is the Guru, the teacher, one who has come to destroy the darkness that is enveloping the world within us, and thereby bring the light of the truth, which he is. He is Mahauja, Mahaujase Namaha. So, he is the Maha-Ojas. And so Vishwanath Swami said he is the Guru. He has come in as Ramana, but his true nature is undivided consciousness, Akhanda Samvidakara, and it is the pure light of consciousness, Mahaujase Namaha. Now, why did that pure, undivided light of consciousness become manifest? It is because of a reason. And that reason, Vishwanatha Swami says, is for the good, the welfare of the entire world. Jagat Hitavataraha. Jagat Hitavataraye Namaha. And so where was he manifest? He was manifest in the Bhuminatha Sthala. Bhuminatha Sthalotpitaya Namaha. In the lineage of the sage Parashara, Parashara Kulottam Saya Namaha, on account of the great penance performed by Sundaram Iyer. This penance is referred to even by Bhagavan in Navamani Malai, and this place of birth is referred to by Bhagavan. He says, Puvikut Pungidum Purikut Punniyan Shurikut Sundaran Tavark Utpannanan. Tavark. Because of the penance of that Punniyan, of that good man, Sundaram, I was born in that place called the Pungum Talam, where the waters rise up, they keep swelling up. In that place I was born, the Tiruchuri, the waters swell up and then they are quelled by the Trishula of Shiva. That is the legend of Bhuminatha Kshetra or Tiruchuri. I was born there to the Sati, to the devoted wife of Sundaramayyar on account of his penance. Sundararya Tapapalaya Namaha, Kamaniya Sucharitraya Namaha. One whose life is beautiful, one whose life is pure, and therefore whose life is purifying for all of us. And we dwelt upon this and we thought that if we just simply chant the Ashtotram also every day, we would have dwelt on Bhagavan's entire life. It is the simplest way of dwelling on the Sacharitra of Bhagavan, to chant the Ashtotram mentally, of course, and to do manana. If we can meditate on any of those aspects, we would be meditating on the life of Bhagavan. And then the life is now unfolding before our eyes through the namas of the Ramana Ashtotram. And among all the leelas and all the divine sports that unfolded, Bhagavan was on this earth in the body for 70 years. And every moment of his life is glorious. But Vishwanatha Swami picks a few events for this Namavali. And what is the first one that he picks? The first one he picks is Sahayamba Sahayavate Namaha. One who was helped, one who was supported by Sahayamba. Who is Sahayamba? She is the consort of Bhuminatheshwara. She is how the universal mother is called at Tiruchuri. She is called Sahayamba or Sahayavalli. In Tamil, she is called Tunaimalai. She is one who is supporting, one who stands beside, Sahaya, one who gives us the courage, the strength, the support for everything. And Vishwanatha Swami says, Bhagavan found her support as well. He has already said that he is Subramanya, so she is his mother. And every story always starts only with the mother. It is in the mother's womb that the child gets formed. It is the mother who gives birth to the child, and it is the mother who first suckles the child, who gives the child milk, nourishment, and makes the child physically stable. It is the mother who points out to the child, see, that is your father, that is Appa. And it is the mother who teaches the child about the entire world. And for the child, who is the entire world in the beginning? The mother is the entire world for the child. In the womb, of course, there is nothing else. There is no one else. But even after coming out, the child's world is only the mother. And the child does not think of a world other than the mother. And therefore, the child even will not recognize that the mother can have a world apart from itself. So such is the total focus on the mother from the child. And Vishwanatha Swami, Ganeshananda says, Vishwanatha Swami had gone with him on, while going with him around Arunachala on Giri Pradakshina, pointed out to one place where there is one part of the hill, one peak of the hill in front of the main peak. And then this peak in front moves, or as we move, it reveals the main peak. And Vishwanatha Swami said, this is how the universal mother, Jagadambika, reveals the Father, Ishvara, to the sadhaka, to every seeker of truth. And so Vishwanatha Swami begins the story by referring to Sahayamba, Sahayavate Namaha. Ramana was supported by Sahayamba. Ramana who turned to Sahayamba as to his mother. And then we have that very sweet incident in the life of Bhagavan where he took his father's office papers, cases, probably the old cases which were just there, stacked up, the old case papers, like our memory has so many papers stacked up, and he decides to play with them. One version of the story says that he made paper boats and allowed them to just float away down the street or in the temple tank. He played with his friends. An older, much older version of the story said that he made kites and let them fly away. Whatever it is, he did with the old papers. That is what Bhagavan does with our destiny. Muruganar Swami says that he wipes away our destiny. He just takes it away. Keriya mandaye kirum ayan eduthu aripadum tiranayum arinyarku. He just wipes it all away. So all of it is wiped away. It is thrown away as if it were waste, as if it were rubbish. But so it's gone. All those papers are gone. But for us, for the father Sundaramaya, they were very important papers. And he scolded this young child who was around 3 or 4 years old, and he scolded him severely for doing this. Now, what did the young Ramana do? He disappeared from home. They could not find him, they could not trace him, and they got worried. And when they got worried, finally, where will the answer come but from the Divine Mother? So, when Sundaramayyar went to pray to the Divine Mother, just before that, the priest had gone for the evening worship, and in that dark sanctum sanctorum, as he was about to light the lamp, he saw some movement and he lighted the lamp, and he realized there's this young boy sitting behind the idol of Sahayamba. And he asked the young Ramana, "Why did you come here? Why are you hiding here?" And the little boy answered, saying, "My father scolded me, so I came to Amma." To him, he did not go to Mother Alagamma, but he went to Sahayamba. In his Navamani Malai, Bhagavan says, "Ammayum appanumai yennai bhumiyillaki alithu." Oh Arunachala, you as father and mother have created me. You blessed me and brought me onto this earth. You made me come to this earth. It was your work. Ninnaru chitram yenne. What is your play of grace? So he was ever aware of that divine consciousness, the Chit Shakti being his mother. And it was to her that he went. It was always, his life was supported by the Jagadambika, the Sahayamba was always there to support him, to lead him at every point in that Sacharitra, Sucharitra. And it shows us that she, the Divine Mother, is ever available to every one of us as well, with great love and compassion available to us to turn to, and available as succor and support in every moment of our life journey. If we see one journey outside, then outside. And of course, in the journey within, back to the self. And Bhagavan says that the self is Chinmayi, the mother. She is the mother waiting within to embrace us. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. We now have chanting of verses from Arunachala Akshara Manamalai by Srimati Radha and Vallabha.
Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala. Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala. நைந்தழி கனியா நல நிலை பதத்தில் நாடியுட்கொள் நலம் அருணாச்சலம். நொந்திடதுந்தனை தந்தனை கொண்டிலை அந்த கனி என கருணாச்சலம். நோக்கிய கருதி மெய்தாக்கிய பக்குவமாக்கினி ஆண்டருள் அருணாச்சலம். பற்றி மல்விடம் தலை திருமுனமருள் பற்றிட அருள் புரி அருணாச்சலாம். பார்த்தருள் மாலர பார்த்திலையெனின் அருள் பாருணக்கார் சொல்வார் அருணாச்சலாம். பித்த விட்டுன்னை நேர்பித்தனாக்கினை அருள் பித்தம் தேடி மருந்தருணாச்சலாம். வீதியில் உன்னை சார் வீதியில் என்னை சேர் வீதி உந்தனக்கே அருணாச்சலம். புல்லறி வேதுரை நல்லதி வேதுரை புல்லிடவே அருள் அருணாச்சலம். பூமண மாமனம் பூரணமணம் கொள்ள பூரணமணம் அருள் அருணாச்சலம். பெயர் நினைத்திடவே பிடித்திழுத்தனை உன் பெருமையார் அறிவார் அருணாச்சலம். பேய்த்தனம் விட விடா பேயா பிடித்தென்னை பேயனாக்கினை என் அருணாச்சலா. பைங்கொடியானான் பற்றின்றி வாடாமல் பற்று கொடாய்கா அருணாச்சலா. அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ 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 அருணாச்சலா. அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா. அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா. அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா. அருணாச்சலம் வாழி அன்பர்களும் வாழி. அக்ஷரமண மாலை வாழி.
Namo Ramana. We conclude the satsang with Ashtotra Puja to Bhagavan. It will be offered at Palakut, our South Bangalore Center. The puja will be performed by Ushananda Kumarji, and the chanting will be by Vaibhavji, Prathana, and Uma and Ashwin.
नमो रमण. भारद्वाज विश्वनाथ विरचितं श्रीरमणाष्टोत्तर शतनामावलिः अपार सच्चित् सुखवारिराशे. यस्योम्मि मात्रं भुवनं समस्तं गुहाहितं तं रमणं गभीरं चिन्ताविहीनं हृदि चिन्तयामि. ओम महासेन महंसेन जाताय नमः. ओम श्रीरमणाय नमः. ओम गुरवे नमः. ओम अखंड संविदाकाराय नमः. ओम महोजसे नमः. ओम कारणोद्भवाय नमः. ओम जगद्दितावताराय नमः. ओम श्री भूमिनाथ स्थलोस्थिताय नमः. ओम पराशर कुलोत्तंसाय नमः. ओम सुंदराय तपःफलाय नमः. ओम कमनीय सुचारित्राय नमः. ओम सहायाम्बा सहायवते नमः. ओम शोणाचल महोलीन मानसाय नमः. ओम स्वर्णहस्तकाय नमः. ओम श्रीमद्द्वादशान्त महास्थले लब्ध विद्योदयाय नमः. ओम महाशक्ति निपातेन प्रबुद्धाय नमः. ओम परमार्थ विदे नमः. ओम तीव्राय नमः. ओम पितृपदान्वेषिणे नमः. ओम इंदुमौलिना पितृमते नमः. ओम पितुरादेशत शोणशैलं प्राप्ताय नमः. ओम तपोमयाय नमः. ओम उदासीनाय नमः. ओम महायोगिने नमः. ओम महोत्साहाय नमः. ओम कुशाग्रधिये नमः. ओम शान्तसंकल्प संभ्रमाय नमः. ओम सुसंदृशे नमः. ओम सवित्रे नमः. ओम स्थिराय नमः. ओम तपक्षपित सर्वांगाय नमः. ओम कुल्लाम्बुजविलोचनाय नमः। ॐ चन्द्रिकासितहासश्रीमण्डिताननमण्डलाय नमः। ॐ च्यूतवाट्यां समासीनाय नमः। ॐ चूडिताखिलविभ्रमाय नमः। ॐ वेदवेदान्ततत्त्वज्ञाय नमः। ॐ चिन्मुद्रिणे नमः। ॐ त्रिगुणातीताय नमः। ॐ विरूपाक्षगुहावासाय नमः। ॐ विराजतशलाकृतये नमः। ॐ उद्दीप्तनयनाय नमः। ॐ पूर्णाय नमः। ॐ रचिताचलताण्डवाय नमः। ॐ गम्भीराय नमः। ॐ परमाचार्याय नमः। ॐ सुप्रसन्नाय नमः। ॐ अभयप्रदाय नमः। ॐ दक्षिणास्य निभाय नमः। ॐ धीराय नमः। ॐ दक्षिणाभिमुखाय नमः। ॐ स्वराजे नमः। ॐ महर्षये नमः। ॐ भगवते नमः। ॐ ईड्याय नमः।
ॐ भूमविद्याविशारदाय नमः। ॐ विमलाय नमः। ॐ दीर्घदर्शिने नमः। ॐ आप्ताय नमः। ॐ ऋजुमार्गप्रदर्शकाय नमः। ॐ समदृशे नमः। ॐ सत्यदृशे नमः। ॐ सत्याय नमः। ॐ प्रशान्ताय नमः। ॐ अमितविक्रमाय नमः। ॐ सुकुमाराय नमः। ॐ सदानन्दाय नमः। ॐ मृदुभाषिणे नमः। ॐ दयार्णवाय नमः। ॐ श्री शोणाचलरुद्भूतस्कन्दाश्रमनिकेतनाय नमः। ॐ सद्दर्शनोपदेष्ट्रे नमः। ॐ सद्भक्तवृन्दपरिवृताय नमः। ॐ गणेशमुनिभृङ्गेन सेविताग्रिसरोरुहाय नमः। ॐ गीतोपदेशसारादिग्रन्थसञ्चिन्नसंशयाय नमः। ॐ वर्णाश्रममतातीताय नमः। ॐ रसज्ञाय नमः। ॐ सौम्याय नमः। ॐ आत्मवते नमः। ॐ सर्वावनिमतस्थानाम् आराध्याय नमः। ॐ सर्वसद्गुणिने नमः। ॐ आत्मारामाय नमः। ॐ महाभागाय नमः। ॐ मातृमुक्तिविधायकाय नमः। ॐ विनताय नमः। ॐ विनुताय नमः। ॐ विप्राय नमः। ॐ मुनीन्द्राय नमः। ॐ पावकोज्ज्वलाय नमः। ॐ दर्शनादगसंहारिणे नमः। ॐ मौनेन स्वात्मबोधकाय नमः। ॐ हृच्छान्तिकरसान्निध्याय नमः। ॐ स्मरणाद्बन्धमोचकाय नमः। ॐ अन्तस्तिमिरचण्डांशवे नमः। ॐ संसारार्णवतारकाय नमः। ॐ शोणाद्रीशस्तुतिद्रष्टे नमः। ॐ हार्दविद्याप्रकाशकाय नमः। ॐ अविच्युतनिजप्रज्ञाय नमः। ॐ नैसर्गिकमहातपसे नमः। ॐ कमण्डलुधराय नमः। ॐ शुभ्रकौपीनवसनाय नमः। ॐ गुहाय नमः। ॐ दण्डपाणये नमः। ॐ कृपापूर्णाय नमः। ॐ भवरोगविषग्वराय नमः। ॐ स्कन्दाय नमः। ॐ देवतमाय नमः। ॐ अमर्त्याय नमः ॐ सेनान्ये नमः ॐ पुरुषोत्तमाय नमः
ॐ श्रीरमण भगवते नमः। श्रीरमणाष्टोत्तरशतनामपूजां समर्पयामि। यस्थाणोररुणाचलस्य पदयोः स्मृत्या जनिं प्राप्यत दिव्यानुग्रहसुप्रवाहविवशस्तादात्म्यभावं गतः हृन्निष्ठस्वगभीरनित्यतपसा लोकान् पुनास्येकराट् तस्मै श्रीरमणाय ते नम इदं लोकोत्तरज्योतिषे। नमो 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 रमण सदाशिव प्रभावरण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि दर्शन सुख मंगल मुख सकल जीवहित सम्मुख ब्रह्म संगिये नमो 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 रमण सदाशिव प्रभावरण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि सदा तुष्ट सदा हृष्ट सदा शिवानंद पुष्ट परम महर्षि ब्रह्मनिष्ठ समदर्शी नमो 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 रमण सदाशिव प्रभावरण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि ನಮ್ಮ ಮನವದೊಂದು ಕಾಡು ನೀನರಿತಿಹೆ ಅದರ ಜಾಡು ಹಿತವನರಿತು ನೀಡುತ್ತೆಮ್ಮ ಕೊರೆಯ ತಣಿಸಲೈ ಬೇಡಲೆಂದು ಬಂದ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿಯೇ ತಣಿವೆವಯ್ಯ ಮೂಡಿಗಾರನೇ ಹಿತವ ನುಡಿದು ಪೊರೆ ನಮ್ಮನು ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ಸಂಘಿಯೇ नमो 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 रमण सदाशिव प्रभावरण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि। बोलो भगवान श्री रमण महर्षि की जय।
जय